Hello, my name is John-Fidel, and you're watching the Boys Don't Knit podcast. This should be episode 4. It's been a while since I've recorded an episode. That's because I went through some life changes last time in the episode. I had gone a full-time position, and I had just got into a relationship. I don't have the same job anymore. I'm now at a different place. I'm at a big box retail store, but I still am in the same relationship. It's been great, and we'll be having our 1 year anniversary next month in March. Looking forward to that. But during that time, we did not like visit our friends. We pretty much dropped all of our hobbies except for playing video games, which was the main hobby that drew us together. And I didn't start knitting again until maybe about 3 or 4 months ago. I just picked up the needles and started just doing random projects, little small things, just trying to get rid of everything that was in my stash bag. And I got rid of a lot of things. I've added a few more things, but I think I got rid of more than I put in. And I really wanted to start doing these videos again because I felt like they kept me on task. I always wanted to have something new for the next episode, so I always try to get as much done as possible. Also, it was nice being able to share stuff with people. A few people online have been looking at them more than just my family and friends, and it's nice knowing that other people are seeing my work. And I actually got a few messages too from people who were watching it. So they thought it was really funny and they really liked my videos and they were hoping that I continued making the videos. So I really wanted to get back on with all of this. Some of the other things that I picked up since then have been spinning. I really want to get more familiar with yarn fibers, how yarn's made, and how to dye my own yarns, so my projects come out a little bit more with a little bit more of me in them. So that's one thing I picked up. And I picked that up at the Fresno Fair this past September, but I'll get more into that later. I want to start things off by just getting into my knitting project and what I'm working on right now, and that is the Razorback Howl. This is done in brioche stitch, and you alternate the colors, so every other stitch is a different color. So once it's a knit one, purl one type of rib. And the way that it's made, it's on double pointed needles. So what you do is you make one pass with one color, which is the main color. And for my main color of this, I chose Patton's Classic Wool, which is the worsted weight. And it's in the lime grass color, which is like a greenish yellowish color. And then the contrasting color is a heather gray, very dark heather gray. So what you do is you make one pass, which is with the yellow, and you knit the yellow stitches, and then you yarn over the contrasting color stitches. And then you do the exact same thing. You move the stitches back to the other side of the needle, and then you make a second pass with the heather gray. So you would either knit or purl the gray stitches, and then yarn over and pass purlwise with the other color, contrasting color yarn. And that's been a lot of fun. When I first started it, I was kind of losing my mind a little bit because this is my first brioche stitch pattern, and it's also the first really work I've ever done where I've alternated colors like this. Normally I've alternated colors where it's like so many rows are in one color, then you switch yarns to another color, then you switch yarns to another few rows. I've never done it where it's like every other stitch is a different color. So there were times where I wasn't having too much fun, but it was a learning process. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself, about how ambitious to get when I'm working on patterns, and I learned to alternate colors and the brioche stitch. I think in the beginning, the bottom area was always coming out really funny, and it just looked wrong, and it didn't look like the other projects everybody else was doing. And I found out it's because I wasn't paying attention to a very small detail, and I didn't learn that till the last time I did it, because I tore it out. I back ripped and just tore it out probably about 11 or 13 times. But anybody who knows me knows I never give up. I've even had a few employers who are like, you never give up on anything. No matter how bad you do on something, you always do it until you got it. And that's one thing I feel like is a really positive thing that I know that I will always have for the rest of my life, is I never give up on anything. But I kind of did give up a little bit on the beginning. I was like, I don't care. It's so the last like 5 times I did it, the bottom I was just like, I don't care. I'm not going to try to fix it. But the last time, luckily, I got it right. I noticed the small detail. Another reason why I back ribbed it was because there was a lot of mistakes on the edges. I guess I wasn't paying attention. And I know how to fix mistakes in the middle of a knit. Like if it was like right here, I could just drop a stitch and just drop them in and get a crochet hook and fix whatever it was. Maybe I purled instead of knitted, or I knitted instead of purled, or I accidentally did something else that I can easily just drop a stitch all the way down, fix it, and then redo it all the way back with my crochet hook. But not when it's an edge. For some reason, my mind just doesn't understand what I'm doing. And then add 2 colors onto it. There was all these color strands everywhere. I just gave up. But I remember it was like the 8th time I was like, I'm going to give up. 9th time, I'm going to give up for sure if I have to back rip it. Finally, I got down to like the 11th or 12th time. And everything's been good so far. So I'm just paying attention, which can be kind of hard when you're watching other podcasters who are really funny, like the Bakery Bears and Yarngasm. But I've been doing a pretty good job so far, and I'm looking forward to finishing it. And that is, I'm keeping this inside of my Star Wars bag, which is, you can see it, has a bunch of Star Wars characters, has Chewie, R2-D2. R2-D2 is my favorite character. My car is named R2-D2. There's a little R2-D2 action figure inside of there. And I made this bag myself. I saw the fabric and I fell in love with it and had to have it. And yeah, so it has a zipper. The inside's gray, and it keeps everything I have for this project. And this is my new little thing, is making project bags. So first I started off by making this little monster tote. I found this fabric. It was these little monsters that were throwing a party and eating cake and had party hats on and balloons, and it was really cute and it was super graphic looking. And I was like, I have to make this into a project bag. And so I made it out of a tote. I made a tote out of it. But I was like, if I just have this tote, things are going to be slipping out. I need a zipper on here. So I learned to do zippers, and now I make all of my bags with zippers. And I gave that tote to my niece because I felt like that also fits her personality, because she decorates cakes too. And she loves the tote, and she keeps all of her knitting projects in there. So that's my knitting. As far as crochet goes, I'm starting a project today. It's going to be it's out of this color. Let me see here. That's more accurate. It's going to be Gengar, which is a Pokemon, and it's for my boyfriend. It's going to be a late birthday gift. I got him a gift certificate to GameStop, but this will be a late birthday gift for him, and he really loves Gengar. It's a evil looking Pokemon, but it's kind of cute at the same time, and it kind of looks like a party animal, so it's kind of, I think, a little bit like me. It's almost like the Japanese version of Stitch. And so it's going to be an amigurumi, and it was a free pattern I found on Ravelry. It normally, I think, only comes out to like maybe 6 inches, maybe a little bit more, but I'm hoping it can get a little bit bigger if I double up on the yarn and use the slightly bigger crochet hook, but we'll see. And a finished project I have is this. This is the Dukester Hat, and I made this out of Baracco's Ultra Alpaca. And I really love the way it came out. I think it looks really nice. My boyfriend, who I share hats with, keeps on trying to forget it, that he has it on, and go home with it. But I love it. It's my favorite beanie that I wear. And it's out of this beautiful, like, ocean color. So it looks blue, but then if you notice, there's these little hints of green, and it's kind of shiny. So it does really look like the ocean, or how I imagine the ocean looks like in my head whenever I think about it. But I bought this yarn from Swatches, which is in Fresno. It's a local yarn shop. And that's one of my goals, is to every other project buy local yarn. Because Fresno only has 3 yarn shops now. It's Swatches, Yanez, and this like secret black market yarn shop, which I kind of want to visit because I'm curious about it. I've heard about it, but I've never been there, and I don't know anyone that's been there personally, but I know it exists, and I want to visit it. But I feel like in order to keep these yarn shops going, people who live in Fresno need to be visiting them because they have such a great selection of yarn. It's a nice place to just meet up with other knitters, which there isn't a whole lot of places like that here in Fresno, and you get great customer service, and it's just a blast being there. And I can't expect these shops to be open and for other people to go if I'm not going. So some of these yarns are a little bit, pricey. That's because they're such great quality, and even though I know some of them are, maybe above the $10 or $11 mark, which is way more than what I'm used to paying, but still, it's such great yarn. Like this one was like 11, but there's no way I could have gotten something like this from Joann's or Michael's. So it's definitely worth the price you're paying, and it's one of, I think, like the better hats that I've knitted. So I definitely want to go. And this one I think was only like 8 or 10 from Swatches, and I really liked the way it came out. And I really liked my visit when I was over there. Fran, she's at the front desk, and she's just such a great person to talk to when you're in there, and she gives you advice and she asks you about your projects, and it's a really great experience going over to Swatches. Yeah, oh, and about some of the other places in Fresno, we used to have a Knit Addiction. That was the yarn shop in Clovis. It's not Fresno, but it's still pretty close. And that place closed down, unfortunately, and it sucks because that place actually, I think, had a lot of spinning supplies, which the other stores don't. So now I have to go online for my spinning supplies. And they also had a lot of yarns. They had more vibrant, brighter color yarns, which I felt like was a little bit different than what they have at the other stores. And it's very unfortunate they had to close down. And it's very unfortunate I missed their going out of business. I didn't find out till the day after when I heard all the great yarn was gone. And they had the yarn at like super low prices. And my friend said, yeah, she went out there and she was one of the first ones in line. And there was this huge line of people getting this like greatly discounted yarn. And I really wish I was there. That would have been great. Even though at the time I was trying to get rid of my yarn by knitting as many projects as possible and making my yarn bag smaller, I would have filled it back up. I don't care. Discount yarn. You got to get it when you can. The other thing, like I said, was spinning, which I have all my spinning stuff in my comic book theme bag that I made that I love. And this one's also popular when people see it. But spinning is something I got into. Well, I've been seeing people talk about in podcasts, and I was very interested in learning how to do that. It seemed like a great skill to have and to help me understand more about yarn and how it works and everything like that. I came across spinning, or at least my introduction to it, at the Fresno Fair in September. The Fresno Weavers and Spinners Guild had a booth out there, and I forget her name, and I forgot to write it down. I feel bad. But she saw me, and she said, hey, what are you doing? And do you know anyone that knits or crochets? And I said, I knitted. And so she pulled me in there and into their little setup they had. And she gave me a drop spindle with some fiber already on there. And I started drop spindling, and that was really fun. So I told myself, I'm going to get into this, soon. And finally, that was how long ago? Close to 5 months ago. And I started picking up books on it, reading about how you do it. I got in contact with the Fresno Weavers and Spinners Guild, and I just started spinning, and it was a lot of fun. I had ordered this and a bunch of other supplies, but they weren't in, and lucky me that the Spinners Guild had acquired a bunch of fiber from the Fresno Zoo. They purchased it, and it was llama and alpaca. They had white and they had brown fiber. So they gave me some, since we're part of the guild, we get to take, whatever we feel like we need or whatever would help us with our projects. And Catsy's husband is a woodworker, and she managed to, with both of them together, made some drop spindles for people who didn't have it, or we're going to another thing that they hold over at the Fresno Weavers and Spinners Guild. And so I got a Turkish spindle, which I have had a blast learning how to spin on and using. And now I kind of want to get a Turkish spindle. Thanks for Catsy for making this and getting me started on spindling. So right now I have the brown fiber on there. But I stamped white first, then I moved to brown, and then I made this project. So this is with the brown and the white plied together, looks like. And this was so much fun. I had such a blast doing all of this. When it got to putting it in a skein, I was like, it looks like it's going to be a headache. But there's these things called nitty knotties, and they went a little bit pricey. But I saw online that you can make them yourself, so I borrowed my dad's PVC pipe cutter. I went to Home Depot, got a bunch of PVC pipes, joints and caps, and made my own nitty knotty. So you just kind of like wrap the yarn around in a certain way, and it turns it into a skein. So this is almost ready for me to work on. I just need to wash it so it relaxes the yarn, and then I can use it. I think I'm going to make a little rabbit out of it. I might make alpaca amigurumi, but I think I want to try out this rabbit pattern I saw online. And then after I'm done using that Turkish spindle, I'm going to learn to use this high whorl chop spindle. And also another thing with the Spinners Guild is they had a bunch of fiber that they kind of just gave up on, and people have been passing around. They'll say like, oh, I'll wash it and clean it, but then they're like, that's a lot of work, I don't want to do it. And like I said, I want to get more involved with fiber and how it's cleaned and how it's carded and everything, so they let me take it home. So I have, it was 2 bags of this, but I combined it into 1 bag, and I have about this much done so far. So if you can kind of see, let me take it out. You can see this fleece, it's kind of like all clumped together, and if let me put it close, it has all of this vegetable matter like embedded into it, and it's really stuck in there. And I think if it was just regular grass, it'd be easy to pick out because some of the stuff just falls out when you pick it out. But there's this like plant grass they have there, like these tiny little spirals that just get caught in there, and they're really difficult to take out. But I have this much finished, as you can see, it's all nice and fluffy and carded and mostly clean. I just need to wash it now. So I'm debating whether or not I'm going to do the rest of this, and I'm really debating on it because even though I'm having a ton of fun, I don't want to burn myself out trying to clean this out and carding all of it. Plus also, like, it's getting to like the nasty bits. Like, I can see why like the person who cleaned out the first batch for us didn't want to have it, because I think there might be some like pee in there or something from the llamas. But like I said, it's been a blast so far from what I had. And this is going to be, I think I'm going to dye this before I spin it. So I'm going to practice dyeing on this one. Probably going to use some food coloring from my Wilton food coloring stash, because I used to decorate cakes for a while. And I think that's it for what I'm sharing so far. Oh, actually, I forgot to share the stash. This yarn I acquired from Yanez, and Yanez was really a cool place to visit. It was my first purchase from Yanez, and Yana and her staff are amazing. They're so much fun to be around and to talk to, and I'm so glad I went over there. This is Cascade 220. It's the regular. And it is, I don't know what the colorway is on it, but it's like a gray, it's like a cool gray color. And I love this yarn. It feels really nice. It doesn't feel all scratchy. And I think I'm going to get another color for it, because I'm really enjoying working in 2 colors. So I think I might want to do something like Intarsia with it. Yeah, I love the customer service you get when you go from these local yarn shops. You get customer service you can't get from big retail stores or big craft retail stores because they're pretty much just for yarn. They're and these people usually are experts. Where when you go to places like Michael's or Joann's or other big retail places, you can't always expect to be able to speak with someone who knows what they're talking about when it comes to knitting, crochet, and yarn. A lot of people go to those places thinking that they just have experts in there or they have some sort of learning plan to where employees can learn to know all of the crafts when they don't. They try to hire people who know a little bit about crafting and arts when you first get in there, but you can't expect someone who's an expert to be drawn to a minimum wage part-time job at a craft store. And even when I worked at the big box craft store, I I would love to have just sat there and answer questions about yarn and knitting and the different notions we had there in crochet, but sometimes you're the only person on the floor, so you have to try to take care of someone as fast as possible and then head over to the other side of the store, as well as making sure the aisles are maintained and help someone go to the bathroom because the doors are locked, and going up to register because there's only so many cashiers that you can't get the same amount of customer service at a craft store as you can at these local shops. And that's part of the reason why I want these places to stay open, and I want to keep on going back to them. And it's like I said, I have a blast every time I go to these places, so I definitely want to keep on going back to them and supporting them. I think that's it for this episode. I want to thank you for watching. If you're a returning viewer from the videos I used to do, thank you for watching again. And like I said, I want to keep up with these. I want to keep on making them. And all of the patterns all of the projects I've worked on, the patterns I will try to put into the video description. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know. Sometimes they say and a lot, so if you notice me doing that a lot, feel free to make a comment and say, John, I'll work on that. It's understandable. It can get annoying sometimes when you hear someone say and a lot. I'm trying to not say those and replace them with other words that become repetitive, but I think it's going to come with time with doing these videos. So have a great day, and if you knit or crochet, whatever your craft is, keep on getting with it. Don't take any breaks because it's so hard getting back into it. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.